The southernmost point of Africa. The convergence of the warm Indian Ocean and the ice-cold Atlantic Ocean. The meeting of these oceans has not just shaped the coastline. Thousands of kilometers away, the continent's hinterland is also affected. While some regions enjoy wet seasons with plenty of rainfall, other areas only get a few millimeters of rain a year. Appearances may be deceiving. Here, life flourishes in the most formidable of places. However, there is drought where cascading waterfalls flow. A geography shaped by canyons, limestone valleys, and infinite deserts. Some of the salt pans here are as large as a small country. Gigantic rocks that suddenly soar from the ground. Strange trees protruding from among rocks. And extraterrestrial sceneries. Eerie, but fascinating. In all its colors, sounds, and mesmerizing images, this region is home to some of Africa's most glorious vistas. This is the Wild South. The western coast of southern Africa. It is the Benguela Current that determines the conditions here. This extremely cold, nutrient-rich current is the source of life in the region. There is also considerable irony. The cold water currents are also responsible for the infinite deserts in this geography. Rain clouds cannot form when air temperatures drop so suddenly. This is one of the driest places on Earth, and the survival of desert creatures depends on an unconventional water source. A dense cloud of fog that blankets the desert until the sun warms up the lands. Sossusvlei, one of the most iconic vistas of sub-Saharan Africa. Soaring 350 meters high, these gigantic dunes are among the tallest in the world. It is the iron oxide-covered sand grains that give this intense red color. The Namib is the oldest desert on the planet. It has been around for about 55 million years. But the desert is also very dynamic. It is moving constantly. Winds that blow consistently throughout the year reshape the dunes of the Namib. The ground may be stationary. However, peaks move as billions of sand grains are blown about. Water is very scarce in the Namib. On most occasions, it is only a mirage. The desert surface can reach up to 70 degrees Celsius. Life is near impossible here, but there are creatures who have prevailed. Animals must find water urgently. Deep clefts and dry riverbeds can be seen everywhere, bearing traces of rivers that flowed thousands of years ago. There are rivers that still flow here. However, the seasonal rivers that carry rainwater from the north soon dry. The presence of waterfalls can be deceiving. Water quickly disappears between the rocks. All the water in the Namib is underground and very hard to reach. Lying to the east of the Namib, the Kalahari is a more habitable geography. There is also no water here. Kalahari is densely vegetated despite being a desert. The early hours of the day at Kalahari, temperatures are still very low. As the sun rises over the horizon, the small predators of the desert slowly emerge from their burrows. Meerkats. After a cold night out on the desert, they have to increase their body temperatures before feeding. Having stored some energy, the meerkats are out looking for food. The pups cannot keep up with the adults. They are left with carers that will protect them and also stop them from wandering away. As social animals, meerkats have strong family ties. They take turns in keeping watch so all members can feed in comfort. There are not many hills in the Kalahari. It might be good to find a vantage point overlooking the plains by climbing up short bushes and fallen trees. Meerkats are fast enough to escape land predators. However, it might be too late to hide from birds of prey. The sentry must be alert at all times. It will shriek to warn the clan against approaching eagles and hawks. There is no water in the Kalahari. Meerkats meet their need for water from the food they eat. The insects, worms, and larvae they dig out from the sand will feed them and quench their thirst. The fork-tailed drongo and crimson-breasted shrike do not go far from the meerkats. There is not much food around for them to eat. They wait for the right moment. Hoping to find some insects where the meerkats dig. Meerkats and birds alike have devised ways of using the scarce resources of the Kalahari. A close relative of the meerkat, the banded mongoose, are also quite restless. They must make sure that the coast is clear before leaving their burrows. They will not wander far and will dash back underground if they sense danger. As one of the largest predators of the desert, the rock monitor feels no need to hide itself. A formidable hunter, looking for food in the desert with its hefty body and powerful claws. The most important organ of the monitor is its forked tongue, which allows it to detect potential prey by smelling the air. The monitor is onto something. There must be a creature hiding nearby. It is cornered. There is nowhere the rat can escape. It is a small prey, but every bit is precious in the desert. The rat will both feed the monitor and quench its thirst. Finding food is a challenge in this geography. The monitor will continue looking while it still has energy. There might be eggs and vulnerable chicks in a bird's nest among these rocks. How do the giants of southern Africa survive in the desert when life is so hard even for smaller creatures? African elephants seldomly sleep lying down. No predator in the Namib is capable of taking an elephant by surprise. This elephant is taking a short rest to conserve energy. It is impossible for its internal organs to withstand the pressure of its gigantic body at length. It must continue grazing only after a few minutes of sleep. Elephants in the Namib are smaller compared to their relatives in the savanna. They have to cross dunes, valleys, and dry riverbeds continually in their search for food. This is the only way grazing on nutrient-poor greens can provide enough energy for the elephant. Riverbeds might be dry. However, elephants can reach groundwater if it's not too deep. But priorities are different for the elephants of the savanna, who enjoy access to water throughout the year. Male elephants must establish their dominance around the waterholes. This is the only way to impress the females who arrive for a drink. This young male wants to prove himself, but he has little chance against the experienced elephants. These scuffles are rarely fatal. The loser will retreat and try his luck at another waterhole. Madaquah's hardy, short, thorny vegetation is unfit for most creatures. However, elephants are not picky eaters. By eating these thorny bushes, the elephants both clear the path for other creatures and provide suitable environment for fresh shoots to grow. Elephants of the savanna do not have to travel as far and wide as their relatives in the desert. With regular access to food and water and lower energy demand, these elephants have larger bodies and larger herds. Baboons are social animals too. They form large troops where water is aplenty. Adults scan their surroundings, while the infants want to play. Life is not that hard in the Madakweh, where water is available throughout the year. Left to survive the harsh desert conditions of the Namib, these baboons are not as comfortable as their cousins in the savannah. Torching sandstorms, drought, and food shortage has forced them to maintain smaller troops. However, baboons are masters of survival. They know elephant droppings contain nutrient-rich moist plants. These barren lands are full of secrets. It might not seem apparent at first, but this is a grassland. It is unknown when and how the fairy circles were formed. The circles scattered among the grass still remain a mystery. Sub-Saharan Africa is home to some of the strangest plants in the world. The quiver tree is endemic to this geography. However, one of the most interesting plants of the South, and probably the entire planet, has made this place its home. The Welwitschia mirabilis plant, endemic to the Namib Desert. The Welwitschia is one of the longest living plants of the world. In the Namib Desert, there are specimens that are more than 2,500 years old. Only 2 leaves protrude from its woody and short stalk. The leaves, which grow to about 1.5 meters in length over its lifespan, take on fantastic shapes on the desert surface as they bend and curl throughout the years. The Welwitschia has evolved to live without rain. It captures ground moisture through its roots, and the moisture suspended in the fog with its leaves. Scattered sparsely across the desert, the Welwitschia is one of the rare plants thriving in the Namib Desert. One of the rare trees on the plains of Etosha. The sociable weaver birds have chosen this tree to nest. Weaver birds live in colonies inside gigantic nests, which they cohabit. There are more than 50 birds in each nest. A new nest is under construction on a thick branch of the tree. The finished nest will require regular maintenance. Birds take turns to carry straw and twigs for the repair work. Despite the challenging conditions, the coastline of southern Africa is home to numerous species. Namibia's Skeleton Coast alone is the habitat of around 300,000 seals. In the ice-cold and rough waters, The seals survive on the nutrient-rich food carried in from the south with the Benguela Current. They must be on land to mate. Those with a place on the beach have more of a chance. They have space and easier access to the ocean. However, life is not that easy for colonies on the rocks. Seals are adapted to living in water, so crossing over sharp and uneven rocky surfaces is quite challenging. Pups cannot afford to leave their mothers in this tremendous crowd. Infants are not old enough to hunt and depend on mother's milk. It is miraculous how mother and pup use sound and scent to recognize each other among thousands of other animals. Mothers have no tolerance for pups that are not theirs. The time has come for this little seal to learn hunting. It appears reluctant to go in the choppy waters of the ocean, but it has to follow its mother. It jumps in. The kelp gull is one of the opportunist birds of southern Africa. It is after prey much larger than itself. There still are a few months before the pups are born in the colony. The kelp gull will wait patiently. Meanwhile, it will have to make do on remains of seals who have been killed by sharks. The opportunist jackal is one of the greatest threats to seals on land. The jackal has no chance of hunting a mature seal. It is waiting for the vulnerable pups to join the colony. Until then, it has to also feed on remains like the kelp gull. This inexperienced pup just out of water has lost its mother. Left astray, life will be a lot more difficult for the pup on the wild coast of the South. The cold waters brought in from the South Pole with the Benguela Current has provided suitable habitat for a surprising species on this coast. The African penguin. The coasts of southern Africa may not be icy like Antarctica, but walking is a big challenge for penguins. The vicious waters of the Atlantic Ocean are quite dangerous. However, penguins are much more comfortable in the water. Thanks to the relatively temperate climate of southern Africa, penguins are not bound to mating seasons. Penguins who have found a mate have already started courting. Kelp is one of the best nest-making materials available on the Atlantic coast. While one of the partners tends to the egg, the other will carry material to the nest. It is impossible to walk around without disturbing other penguins. The thriving chicks are nearly as large as their parents. It will take about 1 year before they completely molt their fluffy brown feathers. Soon, they will be exposed to the ocean in search of food. The kelp gull is almost as large as a mature penguin. Quite daring. It could attack a penguin chick, so the parents must be on alert at all times. They cannot afford to leave their eggs alone even for a moment. Southern Africa is home to the largest rhino population in the continent. As diurnal creatures, the white rhino hides among the shrubs for the time being. And for good reasons, too. It is hesitant for a reason. A calf. There are no natural predators for a mature rhino in this geography. It is too large and powerful for predators. However, without its mother, this calf has no chance of survival in the Matakwa. It is vital for the birds of the savanna to reach water. They might have enough feeding ground, but there is no water on the plains. Like all bird species, the helmeted guinea fowl must drink water regularly. The plains of the wild south offer suitable habitats for predators, too. There are unrelenting predators which are active day and night. The cheetah siblings in Matakwa prepare for the day ahead as they rest in the early hours of the morning. The cheetah is a fragile predator. It is perfectly evolved for high-speed sprints. But it has to catch its prey quickly. The cheetah can reach speeds of 100 kilometers per hour, but only for short bursts of about 30 seconds. The cheetah might be left hungry today if it fails to locate a suitable prey on the plains. The African wild dog is one of the rarest creatures in this region. Dogs are social animals with strong family ties. This mother in Matakwa has a litter of 9 puppies. The puppies will remain in underground burrows until they are mature enough. During this time, the dogs will not abandon the burrow site. They have to hunt to feed themselves and their puppies. As another day in Africa draws to an end, wild dogs get the smell of food. They have not established visual contact, but they can sense prey is close. Dogs are very powerful and resilient. They will restlessly chase their prey until it is exhausted. Africa's most successful predator. An impressive 80% success rate in its hunting attempts. They take down a springbok just before sunset. Equipped with powerful jaws, it does not take long for them to pull the springbok apart. Within moments, bones and skin is all of what remains from the animal. Wild dogs gulp down large pieces torn off from the prey, so they can easily transport food back to other family members and the puppies. The dogs arrive at the burrow site. Although still breastfeeding, it is feast time for the puppies, who are getting used to eating meat. For most creatures, the key to surviving the desert is to be on constant move. An animal that is unusual to see in this geography, the desert giraffe. The land here bears traces of River Hoanib, which once flowed through here, but there is no sign of water. The few plants capable of reaching groundwater are spread out, few and far between. Desert giraffes must find food. They surpassed dozens of hills, walked for hours under the scorching sun, and crossed riverbeds that have been dry for thousands of years. They finally reach an oasis in the desert. It is time to fill their empty stomachs. Exposed to such heat, moisture from plants is not enough for the giraffes. They must find a water hole after eating. Giraffes close to water holes are not so worried about looking for food and water. They can gorge on leaves in high branches that are unreachable by other creatures. Having said that, an abundance of resources means an abundance of predators. They must move in groups to quench their thirst, the time when a giraffe is most vulnerable. Members of the herd are alert to threats. They will drink in turns. The limited number of rivers in sub-Saharan Africa are a source of life wherever they flow. Water is abundant, sometimes even enough to flood parts of this wide expanse. Life is more diverse here compared to the deserts. Birds are plenty in wetlands, while the African fish eagle targets larger fish. The pied kingfisher is after the smaller ones. It waits for a good opportunity from where it is perched. For hunting in wetlands, The yellow-billed stork uses its long legs, while the pelican relies on its agile swimming. But the African jacana resorts to a different tactic. Equipped with a light body and enormous feet, the jacana seems to walk on water in pursuit of small insects. Swamps are favored by Africa's giant herbivore, the buffalo. Food is abundant on the plains close to the rivers. They also have plenty of thickets to take shelter in. Buffalo share this habitat with hippos and numerous antelope species. But the dry season does come to this region as well. Life here is prepared for this. Warthogs know that plant roots are moist. It will dig the soil to expose juicy roots hidden from the scorching sun. Tusks are its major weapon against predators, but it will use them more often for digging. But right now, there is no concern about food or water. They can drink as much as they can. River Kavango in northern Namibia, home to some of Africa's largest elephant herds. Food may still be aplenty, but they must keep on the move. Rivers here remain dry for much longer than they flow. Here, food shortage is the biggest problem for the oryx. It is very adept in coping with high temperatures. It can stay without water for weeks. At last, it is hard to predict how long before the water holes dry up. Herbivores must seize the opportunity and drink as much as possible. Water holes are crucial for the male springbok. Springboks must be one of the few species used to life in the desert, but males with dominance of the water hole will impress the females and entitle him to a harem. The females flock to the water holes. The males are wary. The rule of the leader is constantly challenged. Equipped with powerful necks and long horns, this is the moment male springboks have been waiting for. Limited water holes are now crammed. Zebras are not as resilient as antelopes and look exhausted. They will quench their thirst and cool down a little. The oryx must also seize this opportunity. After leaving this water hole behind, they might be deprived of water for weeks. The elephants and giraffes have crossed the desert and have arrived at the water holes. It has been worth the toil. The sun is setting over the horizon. The day is coming to an end. Most animals will find a safe corner to rest for the night. However, some prefer to roam at night. The black rhino is not sociable. The solitary black rhinos are nocturnal. It looks timid as it gets to the waterhole at dusk. However, there is nothing to fear from elephants and antelopes. It quenches its thirst before setting off to graze throughout the cool night. As summer arrives, breeding time is near for the Cape gannets. Gannets live most of their lives out in the ocean, but they also have to return to land. Birds are gradually reaching the breeding grounds. Their numbers will soon exceed tens of thousands. Early arrivals will have the privilege of settling in the safest nests. It is better to keep away from the periphery of the colony. Gannets are monogamous. Couples arrive at the colony site at different times, and they first have to locate each other. This is not so easy in such a crowd. The courting behavior of rejoining gannets look like a dance. This dance, that entails wrapping necks around each other and touching beaks, will be repeated on every occasion. Gannets will build small mounds for their eggs. There is not much other than dirt. They add a few feathers available into the mixture. The gannet colony is growing by the day. Couples groom each other to strengthen ties while waiting for the egg. Courting and grooming are both important social behaviors. Spouses must take turn to look for food. One of the parents will always stay by the egg during the time gannets spend on land. The scalding African sun could cook the egg. Gannets will continue this struggle until late summer, by when the chick is mature enough to fly. Life for birds in the savanna may seem easier than life in the ocean. There are other threats to birds who have easier access to food and shelter high up in the trees. Jackals know that the Namakwa dove have to drink water regularly. The dove is not an easy prey, but the jackal is an unyielding predator. The jackals disturb the antelope and zebra. But they have no intention of leaving the waterhole. It must approach unnoticed. Not this time. Now for another try. It must improve its stealth. The birds are so fast. The opportunist jackal does not have to hunt all the time. It knows it will find some leftovers from large hunters. It must be cautious. This is a risky game. it approaches the antelope after scanning its surrounding at length. Other jackals turn up after getting the smell of blood. But the lions are still hungry and have no intention of sharing their trophy. Like the vultures, the jackals will have to wait a little longer. The lions have taken down this antelope at dawn. This will be enough food for a few days. In a geography of scarce resources, prey meat is not only nourishing, it gives much-needed liquid through blood and bodily liquids. Nevertheless, predators still have to drink water regularly. The lions in the savanna are roaming their territory. They are looking for food and fending off unexpected guests. Their territory is on the pathway to waterholes. They know that gazelles, zebras, and gnus will eventually pass through here. Herbivores must come to the waterholes as well, but it is not easy to hide here. Lions have no chance of hunting if they cannot hide. Nevertheless, thirsty animals gathering here must remain cautious. Torrid temperatures, a formidable geography, extreme conditions. Sometimes drought. Sometimes floods. Both the geography and life are in constant motion here. Animals know that favorable conditions are only short-lived. They must make most of the opportunity. Pressure from humans, loss of habitats, and changing climate conditions. Nature has never been more fragile. While many forms of life are now endangered, many are already extinct. Penguins are threatened. Their staple diet, sardines, is on the brink of extinction due to overfishing. Penguin populations are plummeting. There were 3 million elephants on the continent at the beginning of the last century. Now there are only 450,000 and decreasing fast. Loss of habitat is a problem for big cats, too. They are confined to reserves. 15 years ago, there were 35,000 lions in Africa. Today, there are only 20,000. But it is not too late. There is still hope. From the Atlantic coastline to sand dunes, arid salt pans to floodplains, from its numerous reserves to rare species, the Wild South will remain as Africa's glimmer of hope.